Unnecessary. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Back in December 2021, SiriusXM was sued by the National Association of the Deaf and Disability Rights Activists for not providing podcast transcripts. Almost 8 months later, lawyers acting on behalf of SiriusXM have responded with an aggressively worded 32-page document which Podnews has obtained, calling the filing
unnecessary,
a
public assault,
and
a cudgel to tarnish responsible companies.
The request for transcripts for all shows on the platform is
misplaced and completely unreasonable.
And the whole filing is just
a public relations campaign.
Well, we published a state of the industry for transcripts when the initial filing was made. You'll find that linked from our show notes and our newsletter today. SiriusXM claims that Stitcher has transcripts available for
some but not all
podcasts and has
been working diligently to identify and select the technology to implement closed captioning.
Well, in our opinion, let's save them the time. The solution is the podcast transcript tag, which is in production in a number of podcast hosts, including Buzzsprout, Captivate, and others. As an already supported, creator-friendly open tool that allows both transcripts and closed captioning, we would recommend it for Simplecast to host them and for Stitcher and Pandora to display them, given they're all responsible companies after all. In other news, to promote its paid subscriptions, Apple Podcasts has launched 2 new charts today. One displays the top subscriber shows and the other top subscriber channels. Both charts are visible only in the UK, US, Canada and Australia. And for interest today, we link to Australia's top subscriber channels and shows. 60% of the initial top subscriber shows have female hosts, by the way, 55% exclusively hosted by women, and half of the top subscriber channels are run by indies. Podnews lists more than 1,990 subscriber channels within Apple Podcast. Himalaya's channel is the largest free channel with 1,205 shows in it. Idea Brew Studios is the largest with paid shows with a total of 232. Magellan AI has released the company's Q2 22 podcast advertising benchmark report. Podcast ad spending is up 11%, the company says. BetterHelp remains the biggest podcast advertiser, spending more than $20 million in the quarter. Podcast promotion, production and distribution company Amplified Audio has launched in Denver, in Colorado in the US. The company has a new tiered fee structure to attract better opportunities for creators. The first podcast network of sober podcasts has launched. The Sober Powered Media Network is the brainchild of Gillian Teets. Oprah Winfrey's podcast network, currently with SiriusXM, is looking for a new deal, according to Bloomberg. Transcript service Otter is increasing its prices. Some users are seeing a price hike of more than 50% a month and an 80% reduction of minutes, from 6,000 down to just 1,200. The Turkish media regulator has fined Spotify for having a playlist with a name that insulted the country's president. Another reason to go to Peoria in Arizona. Peoria Main Library now has a podcast studio called Amplify Studio, and Podnews' word of the day is
cudgel.
Cudgel, yes, a short, thick stick used as a weapon. An old English term, it was popular with people in 1590 and 1780, after which, seemingly the only people who've used it are SiriusXM's legal team. And in podcast news from KFI AM 640, Unsolved with Steve Gregory returns for a new season tomorrow, with a focus on the 2013 case of Bryce Laspisa, a missing student who was driving home from college to visit his family in Orange County. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.